What's good, everybody? What is going on this beautiful Sunday? I know it's probably a different day that you're looking at this, but for playing an instrument like this, you want to play every day and call it beautiful, I would say, because the sound of the bass is just amazing. You might have a different opinion if you argue. Go ahead and subscribe and tell me which instrument do you love best and why. But today I want to teach you about the bass. In my last video, I did teach about the viola, which was an amazing video. If you want to go look at it, please do go back and look at it. But today I'll be teaching you about the bass. And before I do that, I want to introduce myself and why I would say the bass is the most and beautiful sound in the whole world, and why it saves my life is because you might be thinking, why is it called double bass? Double bass is for harmony wise, and then off of that, it plays in an orchestra, which I have seen or experienced myself with playing. My main instrument is tenor saxophone, and with playing that, the director would ask, hey, bass, may you tune us? Or they would ask the timpani to tune us, and then the bass is next. You know how that goes if you are an orchestra. But you will see that sooner in some YouTube videos, or if anything, and then some concerts that you might even go to. But also in jazz band, you know how the tenor sax got those good solos, but with them they got that good old bass, that double bass, and they're doing them things too. They be going down and everything like that. It'd be amazing, I will tell you that. And that's the reason why I love the bass. And once I started to get on it and try to get with the notes and how to actually vibrato and everything like that with it, it's a very great experience. I love it. But enough of me talking. Get the instrument out. Get the instrument out. Get the bass out. Let's play this thing. Let's get to business. Let's get down to business. Okay, that's not what we're on. But also, once you get it out, you want to lay it on its side. Once you lay it on its side, why I say lay it on its side? Because if you lay it flat like a saxophone, it's gonna probably tip over, like it's gonna tip over your bridge. You don't probably know what a bridge is, which is why I will be teaching you some important parts of this instrument. But the bridge, you do want to have, you don't want to break that, and then you could mess up your pegs, and you could mess up that fine tuner. You don't know what I'm saying, you don't know what those words are, but I will describe and get to that with you. So being with that, here is your pegs. Here's your pegs, not your here's your pegs. Pegs is up here. Pegs are up here, and you can turn it right. You know that saying of righty tighty, lefty loosey? See, you want to have that going right to if you're flat. If you're flat, or if you want to go to another note, then you have to turn it this way, which of course would be your lowest sounding E, and then your next sounding will be your A. Your E is the closest to you. Your E, your A, your D, and your G is very important. The reason why I say they're important is because you're going to be tuning with the band, and they need that tuning note. If you are off, then they are all off. Do you understand what the Drumline movie, One Band, One Sound? If you don't know that movie, you got to go and see it. Drumline. It's very important. But with that tuning, we're gonna go on for the rest of the through the rest of the video, trying to figure out which is the parts. So some of these parts are, again, the scroller. The scroller is right up top, and then you have your head, and then you have your nut, then you have your fingerboard, which we'll be talking about. We're gonna be staying up here with, and then you have your top belly. Top belly is up here. Please just, you know, try and get with me here. I know it's a very tough model. Bear with me here. That's what I meant to say. It's a tough model. But you have your violin corners. You have your F hole. The F hole looks like that. Hope I drew that right backwards. But that's the F hole. And why I say it's the F hole, not sure why they called it the F hole. But I do want to say it looks kind of like forte. I would say it looks like a forte. Forte means to be loud, and I will say this thing is loud. If it's hooked up to an amplifier, it's very loud, and also without an amplifier, it's still loud. So then we have the bridge. The bridge is very important because, again, like I said at the beginning, it needs to hold up the strings, and the tail piece is very important because it has those fine tuners. Now the fine tuners will then be able to get that pitch and really good standing wise. You don't have to continue plucking. You can pluck it, hit it about one time, and then see lefty lefty is to flatten it, righty tighty is to, get that in tune and getting sharp or anything like that, if that makes sense. If it's flat, then you might want to turn it left. If it's, you might want to turn it right, and if it's sharp, then you might want to turn it left, if that makes sense. So then we have our machine head. Our machine head is up here as well. So then that's our lowest sounding. Like again, I said your lowest sounding with not a machine, but just by itself is E, A, D, E. Again, I'll say it again. E, E, A, D, G. So with that being said, your E is close to you, but your lowest sounding will be a C, and that's with doing something with that, with the C, with the machine head. Then you have your neck. Your neck, we don't want to pick up by the neck. We want to hug it, and that's another thing that I'll be talking about for the positioning of the bass and why that's very important. But you do want to hug it as like this wise. You want to have it like this, hug it like that. Hold it from down here from the strings and hug it like the violin's up there. I mean, not the violin, but the bass is up here, and you'll be hugging it like this. Not by the neck though, but you're gonna have to hold it like across, like that, and pick it up, and you'll be good. But then you also have an end pin, and the end pin is what you're going to be using for getting that height. But that's all what I'm going to be going over in the positioning, your posture, and then I'll be talking about your left hand and how your left hand and your arm is very important with playing. So now that we've gone over parts and what some of those parts are used for, we're going to be talking about posture. Now, some might argue with me. Some might argue, sorry, I had to look at that down at the time, but some might argue with me that it is better to stand, if it's better to stand right off the bat, or is it better to sit down? My opinion, I will say, is to stand, only because to take that advantage, I mean, you have your posture being right when you're sitting down, because then when you sit down, you start to slouch over, and as you continue to slouch over, then when you stand up and you try to play for your director, you're slouching over and you're not in the same posture as everyone else in your row. And sorry to say that in a bad way, but let's get to the playing wise and posturing. You want to be relaxed. You want to be relaxed, and you want to have it sitting comfortably, not using your hands to hold up the instrument. It's very similar to the first steps to even a violin or to a viola. You don't start with your hands on the fingerboard or anything. You start on the upper bout, if anything, with those violins and the viola. But also, again, I'll be going through the steps, which is, again, the first step is holding the bass successfully, standing up. Standing up meaning you don't want to have it leaning over. You want to have it leaning over or anything like that. Just have it as you're standing or anything. Just have it sitting on you. Having that scroller be like back here or anything like that. Don't have it all the way out there to where it's bringing you, but have it come towards you. Have it just sit on you for a while. So again, we're not doing anything with our fingers. So I mean, it doesn't matter. Again, I would just say your advantages for standing is just your posture wise. But I mean, I've had the opposite. Some people might tell me, well, I'm sorry, some people just haven't taught you very well, if that's in nice words. People don't teach that very often, of how to stand and how disadvantage it is for it to sitting down. But playing standing, you have a lot of freedom as well, of how shifting is very important. I'm not going to go off to subject about shifting just yet, but I want to go on to some steps of how to position your body, some posture of the body of holding the bass. But another step for step one is, the actual step one is no hands hold. When you can't hold the bass with no hands, then you are pretty successful there. But you start very comfortable, shoulders width apart. And then you want to be comfortable, and you want to take your left leg and just be relaxed. Do not bend it or anything like that, or squat with it. That's not right. If I did, I can stand up. I will stand up, but have it shoulders width apart. You see how your shoulders are? Have your feet that same exact way. And also you want to have that instrument be in contact with you. There's 3 points that you want to probably go over, and I'll continue to say it, is the end pin. The end pin, it hits the floor. It hits the floor, and you want to take that out to where your scroller is, I mean, right there, where, not your scroll, but the nut is right there, eye contact, right there with eye contact. And upper bout, it gets in contact right where the leg bends. So that's with your upper, but that's the base. The lower part is where you want to have your knee. As I would say, another point, I mean, you can have it as eye contact, but another one is where you want to focus on the end pin and how that comes out, end pin and how that's going to come out. And then when that's leveled, you want to see where your knee is it where the lower bout is about at. So that's where the C ends at. See where that C bout, remember that C bout? So this is the upper bout. You have your C bout and your lower bout. Upper bout, C bout, lower bout. Now the end of this C, you see where your knee is, where that crease is in your knee. That's maybe the correct positioning of where your base should be postured at. And 3 is you want to have the back corner of the base. Again, like I said before, the back corner of the base be where you want to have it. And then you want to have the steps mastered before even playing. You want to have those steps mastered before even playing that. So a lot of people argue, again, about the height as well, because what if you're sitting down? I would say, again, go through those steps when you're even sitting down, but the disadvantage, again, is the way you bend over. How tall you should be on the base. I mean, from my opinion, again, people would argue about it, and I would say that when leaning the base towards you just a little bit, you'll notice how you lean into the body. And I mean, you don't want to have to lean in too far, and you don't want to have to lean in too vertical. When I say lean in too far, I mean as leaning in like this, like leaning in too far to where it can almost fall forward, and you don't want to lean, you don't want to stand vertical to where the base is like that, but you want to, sorry, you want to just got that my phone's finna die in 20%, but you want to have it like this. You want to have it like that, not up vertical and not too leaning like that to where it's going like that on you. That's not good at all. So with that being said, I think with the nut and the first finger in accept is if it's acceptable, it also depends on your playing and how you play that, which piece you're playing. Now with shifting wise, which I will talk about here, shifting wise is very important because, I mean, first, if anything, just to go over some important concepts for the bass. Again, like I was talking about, if you don't understand what I was talking about, my point is with holding the bass, let it be relaxed. Have it relaxed on you. Once you have it relaxed on you, you want to then have the end pin. Look at the end pin. You do not have to take it loose from standing up, but lay it on its side. Lay it on its side, take out the end pin, take it out as far as you want, and then have it go against you. See where the scroller is. If it's not, if the nut is not in eye contact, or if that knee is not at the end of the top, it's either, if you're short, if it's your knee that's somewhere in the C bout, then you're good. If the crease of your knee, you see where that crease is, or even if your hip, have it lean on your hip. If that is anything, the upper bout, lean on that hip and you'll be good as well. That's another thing. That's why a lot of people would argue so much about how to stand with the bass. But I'm here to tell you that you can choose whatever helps you best. If it's very relaxed, again, like I said, it depends on the piece, and that's why I'm going to be going on to shifting. Go through those three steps again. Where's the end pin? Find the upper bout and find the back corner of the bass in the lower instrument, and see if all that helps to be having you be relaxed with standing up with the instrument. So shifting wise, we're going to go over some 3 steps of that. So shifting wise, we're going to be talking about the stance and how the bass should be balanced well. Another step is tension and sliding the fingers, and how that it's very an advantage of how to stand with the instrument. And another one would be some some things to help you out on some of this, and that's just the Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. Another would be the glissando in your essentials book. So, like I say again, I can't stress to say that how important it is for you to have the base and have your posture. Why your posture is very important, and that's being more relaxed with the base, and how to have that shifting being a great how that shifting is important, because you got to be in a good stance. You got to be in a good stance, and second, you have to create tension, and that's what sliding your fingers. Your fingers are very important with that, because then you have to go up and down. You got to go up and down, but also that back thumb is doing some work. That back thumb, this is first position. You might want to move this shifting down, and then go again down here, move it up, doing like that. We would call it the I would say the chicken wing going up and down, because then you have to shift that thumb first. Shift, then get your fingers, shift, then get your fingers and start playing. Shift, and then play that. We're gonna play our D. Shift and play D. Play your D. But I'm not gonna go over that very much now. What we're going to be going over is the bow. Now the bow, when you get that out, I don't know if you have a German bow or a French bow, but the difference between those is the screws, and the way the French bow is set up. Of course, it's how the countries are. French, French people, they play it from London, and then people from German decide to call it the German bow. And with the German bow, it has this. I mean, you have to put it like that, and you have to play it like that. But with the French, it's just like playing with the viola or playing with the cello. You have to have your pinky and certain spacing with your fingers on the bow. Now, when you get this out, I want to tell you, do not touch the hair. When you are touching the hair, it gets all messed up with playing and how your sound is. And so this is what's called a model of the violin. Now you have your stick, you have your rosin down, not your rosin, you have your stick, you have your hair, you have your frog there, and you have your furlin. Now we're gonna be talking about the furlin very much, and then you have your end screw. So not your end screw, but just your screw at the end there. I'm sure it's called an end screw, but what we'll be talking about how it's to bring how to be relaxed with that as well. Just bringing out your left hand, being more relaxed. You see how soft it is, soft there. And then you want to see how your fingers are. Now with your fingers, I mean, you have to look at it. You don't want to look at it like this. You have to look at it like that. And then what you want to do is bring it out, lift your palm this way, and then put your pencil right there where the crease is. You see how that crease is, and you see how your fingers automatically just curve like that. Yeah, it's kind of weird, but you want to keep that wrist straight and your elbow soft. Again, like I said, and you want to let the bow just sit in the curve of your fingers naturally, and then repeat that over and over again. I can't stress how to say that. And then your 3 is lining the fingers up. I mean, I like to have the third finger touch the ferrule. You want to have your third finger touching the ferrule. Now with fingerings, you want to have your 1, 2, 3. We're going to use a 4 sometimes as well, but we're going to use our 1, 2, and 3 and your 4 for this bow. So with that being said, you want to have their fingers rest relaxed on that. So with the ferrule, like I said right there, you want to have it resting there with that in there and there. So have it like that. Have it rest. You want to have it like that. You see how your fingers are relaxed? Your fingers are relaxed. Have it like that. And then you want to then have the tip of the thumb come right where your frog meets the stick. You have your tip of your thumb, have the tip of the thumb right here meet where your third finger is. I would say tip of the thumb come right where the frog meets. So right where this frog meets, have your tip of the thumb go right there. Have it bend a little bit, and you want to have your index finger right there. Have all that there where the ferrule is, where this third finger is where the ferrule is, and your thumb right there where the ferrule is as well, I would say. If you can't see there with the ferrule, that's the bottom there. And so if you have a bent thumb, it's very important. A bent thumb is very important, and you have to have that flexibility. That's why I would say you have to have that bent thumb, because it's for your flexibility for the legato notes. The legato notes is very important. So some common problems is that you want to have your second finger be where your third finger should be, and that's where the ferrule is, and that's not good. So the cause that causes you to squeeze the bow, and that's not a very good thing to do. So the thumb you cannot have on the top of the faucet, but right below it. So you have to have your thumb being right below your third, where your third is at, and have these fingers being up top there, and having that thumb being right there with that, and then having your pinky being on top there. I mean, if you have a dot on your ferrule, then that's where your pinky should be at. It should be like a white dot, and that's where your pinky should be at. Just remember to also have that third finger be on the ferrule, and then everything else just lining up with that, I will say. So I mean, the ferrule, it has support for your index finger, and I would take advantage of that. So the thumb is not on top of the faucet, like I said before, but it's below. We mentioned the chicken wing, as I said before, and another one. The reason why I say the chicken wing is because you you have to bow, how to bow on the base. We call that the chicken wing, and then we have the pointer, and it ends on the index. So ends on the index right here, the pointer. See how that is? We call that the pointer. I've heard the pointer, and then we have heard the fist, and the fist is like that. It looks like a fist when you look down from the base. Remember to have that base relaxed on you, and it just looks like a fist. Your finger should look like a fist almost, because your thumb is not closer to your index, I mean your third finger. So if that's anything. So a reminder of the tip is your pinky is flat on the frog. Your pinky should be flat on the frog there. So look like this. See how everything curves? It's the relaxing of the hand. So then instead of having the first knuckle of the pinky finger around the sticks, so the tip of the pinky finger goes flat, then that's how you end up with the first your first, because I mean your hand turns. So swing the elbow from the shoulder. Don't swing it from, you see, swing it from the shoulder. From your shoulder, you want to swing it there. Swing it there. And play just a string. Play your D string. And you're supposed to have that shoulder being in a 90-degree angle. Have that going, not down. Don't have it down, playing like a straight, but have it in a 90-degree angle. Make it have that L shape when looking down onto the string. I will say it's like that. It's leaning towards you. It should be looking like that. Where if you're sitting down or standing up, if anything. So the shape of the wrist will change the bow stroke, if anything. As I come out towards the tip, the wrist bends back and forth, and that's normal. You see how that going out and then coming in and going out, then coming in, coming out, going in. You see that chicken wing there? Going in, going out, going in. So again, you don't want to have that nerve there to tense up. You want to have that thumb there to tense up, and you don't want to have that second finger being down on with the thumb. You want to have your third kind of line up with your thumb there. And for anything, that's all I have for you today. Some of this stuff is on page 2 about hands, handling with that, and another one would be about page 2 would be a great idea to go to. Again, Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for some of the fingering and shifting for the bass. I'm telling you, it's the funniest thing ever. And also page 7, we'll be talking about some over the hand and how to page 7 and 6 is showing you how to bow. So page 2 is talking about some of the parts on the bass and how that's used very well. And page 7 and 6 on your essential book is for the bowing. And for I believe page 6 also talks about the way you should be bowing the instrument right. And for right now, that's all I have for you. Thank you for letting me teaching you how to play the most experimentative, exciting instrument in the world. See you later.